There is a contract most of us were handed early, long before we had the language to question it. It was never written down, but the clauses were very clear. Excel, adapt, deliver, be useful, be legible to power. Today, I want to talk about that contract and about a sentence I have been living with for years. A sentence I'm still learning what to do with. Excellence is how we survived. It is not how we are going to live. There are moments you don't recognize as defining until you replay them later in your head. A few years ago, I was moderating a conference at UNESCO in Paris on women leading changes. I had been there an hour early. I had written my opening 3 times on the plane. I had changed my earrings before walking into the venue. I sat with that details for a long time afterward. I changed my earrings, not because the first pair was wrong, not because they didn't match. I changed them because somewhere underneath my awareness, I had already done the calculation. Which version of me will require less explanation in this room today? And I had adjusted. After the conference, a diplomat came up to me and said, "You were excellent. Your English is excellent." I smiled, I said thank you, and I moved on. I had been saying thank you to that sentence in one form or the other for my entire adult life. And I had called it professionalism. I had called it gratitude. I had called it grace. That night, back at the hotel, I took off the earrings I had worn that day. I put them on the bathroom counter, next to the pair I had taken off that morning. So, two pairs. I picked the morning pair, I held up and looked at me in the mirror. My shoulder dropped, my jaw softened. I put them down. Then I picked up to the second pair, the pair I had walked into the room with. My shoulder came back up, my jaw set again. Consciously or unconsciously, I had spent the day wearing the pair that brought the tension back and calling it professionalism. Nothing dramatic here. I'm just talking about a pair of earrings. And honestly, it didn't change my life. The analogy simply was about the calculation to adaptation. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it, even the days you would like to. Once you see the pattern, you realize it was never just personal. It was structured, designed, repeated. The first part of the contract, excel, adapt, deliver, be useful, be eligible to power, you know that part already. But there are more clauses to it. Do not be too much, do not be too little, be the version that can pass. And for some of us, that contract was our parents' immigration story. For some of us, it was our scholarship. For some of us, it was the only door anyone had ever described. And we signed it. Consciously or unconsciously, most of us didn't have any other option but to excel anyway. And we didn't think about excellence as ambition. We thought of it as arithmetic, twice as good to be half questioned, 3 times as good to be considered at all. Here is the part no one explains. The contract works. For years, it works. You get the scholarship, you get the promotion, you get the invitation, you get into those rooms. But what they don't tell you is what the contract actually purchases. It does not purchase belonging, it purchases access. It does not purchase safety. It purchases conditional tolerance. It does not purchase recognition. It purchases proximity to the people who will decide whether to recognize you again for the next project, the next quarter, the next cycle. And every renewal costs another edit of yourself, another edit of self. And I'm going to say that again because I want you to count silently while you are driving or walking or washing the dishes the edits you made this week alone. Every renewal, every edit costs you something. And at some point, you need language precise enough to hold what you have been experiencing. And I call this the passport strategy because that's what it is. a way of moving through rooms, environments where your presence is permitted but never fully assumed. It is a brilliant strategy. It gets you in. It got me in. And I'm not here to reject it because it got me in. And I would run it again if I had to. Because the alternative was not being in the room at all. So, what I'm telling you and what I had to tell myself is that at a certain point, the strategy stops working for you and it starts working on you. You stop running the strategy starts running you. And this is the hard part, the part nobody warns us about. By the time you notice, the strategy has become your entire identity. What you had been calling work ethic, professionalism, was a survival mechanism that had quietly become an identity. Who are you when you are not performing excellence? What you have been calling your standards was a pricing structure you inherited. We inherited this pricing structure without even reading it. And then we are in our mid late 30s and we start questioning everything. The internet calls it the millennial crisis. I don't think it is a crisis. It is us starting questioning our own identity and the model of success we were sold, especially for us who are first in our family, first generation, first of doing those things. And I'm certain you already know what I'm describing. You notice the strategy first in small ways. You rehearse a sentence in the shower. You wear the same neutral color to three different meetings because you don't trust the color you actually wanted. You apologize for an accent you have been told your whole life is charming. And I know what I'm talking about with my French accent. You read the email 4 times before sending it. The compliments you are most proud of are all in some register. Compliments on how well you adjusted to your environment. You are so easy to work with. You made that look seamless. Your presence is great. And one day you notice that the word seamless has begun to sound to you like the sound of a door closing very quietly behind you. If any of this is landing, and I'm saying this because I watch it landed in myself still, you are in a very specific phase. It's not burnout, it's not confusion, it is recognition. You are in the moment where you begin to see the strategy clearly for what it has been doing. And I want to say the hard part carefully because I'm still inside of it. Seeing the strategy doesn't free you from it. The mechanism is older than your awareness. You have always been operating this way. The reality is that you will still edit the sentence, you will still adjust the tone, you will still do the calculation at the door. And by now, I can almost name every of my patterns. And still, some weeks, I hear myself rewriting a sentence I already believed. I'm not on the other side of this. I'm walking it in real time, some days with more precision than others. And what I would like to share with you today is really one thing: notice the edits. That is the practice. Pay attention this week to the moment you adjust, your language, your tone, your earrings, the color of your shirt, the shape of an email, the pitch of your laugh. And you are doing all of this because consciously or unconsciously, you want to adjust the room. Awareness precedes change, and awareness in this specific shape is almost never allowed to sit unblurred in our lives because we were taught that the edit was professionalism, that the edit was graceful, the edit was the thank you. But it was also a fee. You don't have to stop paying it this week. It's not possible anyway. And I still haven't. I'm still noticing some weeks where I pay it without feeling the transaction of, adjusting myself. But you cannot stop paying a fee you cannot see. So this week, the practice is just seeing. If there is one sentence I want to leave with you, one that may take years To fully understand, it's this: excellence is how we survive, it's not how we are going to live.